The relationship between Israel and Iran is fraught with tension and mistrust, a legacy of decades of animosity and diverging geopolitical interests. Before the Islamic Revolution of 1979, Iran under the Shah had cordial relations with Israel. Both nations cooperated on security and economic matters. However, the revolution brought a seismic shift. Ayatollah Khomeini opposed Israel's existence. Iran's support for Palestine fueled hostility with Israel. The subsequent decades saw escalating tensions. Iran's support for militant groups inflamed the situation. Israel viewed Iran's influence as a threat. Proxy conflicts and covert operations marked their relationship. The absence of diplomatic channels exacerbated the situation. The animosity is deeply rooted in historical and religious narratives. Iran views Israel as a Western colonial project, while Israel sees Iran's ideology as a threat. These narratives fuel mistrust, making reconciliation distant. The lack of engagement deepens misunderstanding. Both sides interpret actions through fear and prejudice. This absence of contact increases the risk of conflict. Adding a dangerous layer of complexity to this already volatile equation is Iran's nuclear program. Iran maintains that its nuclear ambitions are purely peaceful, intended for energy generation and scientific research. However, Israel and much of the international community harbor deep suspicions about Iran's ultimate intentions. The possibility of Iran acquiring nuclear weapons capability is seen as an existential threat by Israel, which views such a development as intolerable. Israel's concerns are rooted in the bellicose rhetoric emanating from Tehran. Iranian leaders have repeatedly called for the destruction of Israel, raising serious concerns about their willingness to use nuclear weapons if they acquire them. The lack of transparency surrounding certain aspects of Iran's nuclear program further fuels international anxieties. Despite repeated inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency, questions linger about the possible military dimensions of Iran's nuclear activities. The international community, through the United Nations Security Council, has imposed a series of sanctions on Iran in an effort to curb its nuclear program. These sanctions, aimed at crippling Iran's economy and forcing it to the negotiating table, have had a significant impact on the country's economic well-being. However, they have not succeeded in halting Iran's nuclear ambitions altogether. Iran has continued to enrich uranium, a key component of nuclear weapons, albeit at levels below what is required for weapons-grade material. The prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran has serious implications for regional stability. It could trigger a nuclear arms race in the Middle East, as other countries in the region feeling threatened by Iran's nuclear capabilities might feel compelled to develop their own nuclear deterrence. Such a scenario would dramatically increase the risk of nuclear proliferation and the likelihood of a catastrophic nuclear conflict in the region. Faced with the perceived threat of a nuclear-armed Iran, Israel has repeatedly asserted its right to take preemptive military action to prevent such an outcome. Israel, believing that it cannot afford to wait for diplomacy to fail, has developed a range of military options, from targeted airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities to a full-scale invasion. The Israeli military has conducted extensive planning and simulations to assess the feasibility and potential consequences of such operations. The potential effectiveness of an Israeli military strike on Iran's nuclear infrastructure is a subject of intense debate among military analysts and policymakers. While an Israeli attack could undoubtedly inflict significant damage on Iran's nuclear program, setting it back by several years, it is unlikely to completely eliminate Iran's nuclear capabilities. Iran, having dispersed its nuclear facilities and buried them deep underground, has made itself a difficult target to neutralize completely. Moreover, an Israeli attack on Iran would carry significant risks and unintended consequences. It could provoke a wider regional war, drawing in other countries and unleashing unpredictable consequences. Iran, possessing a vast arsenal of ballistic missiles and a network of proxy militias across the region, could retaliate against Israel and its allies, potentially igniting a conflagration that engulfs the entire Middle East. The possibility of an Israeli attack also raises serious concerns about the potential for civilian casualties. Iran, a densely populated country, is home to millions of innocent civilians who would inevitably be caught in the crossfire of any military conflict. An Israeli attack, even if aimed solely at military targets, could result in a humanitarian catastrophe, further destabilizing the region and inflaming anti-Western sentiment. The involvement of international actors in West Asia has been both extensive and complex. Countries from around the globe have vested interests in the region, and their diplomatic efforts have shaped the geopolitical landscape. From peace negotiations to economic sanctions, the strategies employed are diverse and often controversial. These efforts, however, are crucial for maintaining a delicate balance of power and ensuring regional stability. The events in West Asia have significant ramifications, both regionally and globally. The region's strategic importance, rich natural resources, and historical significance make it a focal point for international relations. Conflicts and alliances here can have ripple effects influencing global markets, security policies, and international diplomacy. As such, the developments in West Asia are closely monitored by governments and organizations worldwide. To understand the future trajectories of West Asia, we turn to the insights of experts. Analysts and scholars provide a range of perspectives, from optimistic visions of peace and cooperation to more cautious outlooks, highlighting potential challenges and conflicts. Their expertise helps us navigate the complexities of the region and anticipate what lies ahead. By considering these expert opinions, we gain a deeper understanding of the possible paths forward for West Asia.